Hey everyone, Kyle once again, aka Drastic Godzilla fan. Welcome back to another movie review. Um, I just want to say I want to be doing a review for tomorrow because tomorrow's Easter, so I'm gonna do this one review. I'll just consider this my Easter movie review. So, I'll say just Happy Easter, Happy early Easter, or just Easter. I'll say that right now because I won't be doing a review of it tomorrow. So I'll just give my early Happy Easter. Um, so for this movie review today, I decided to review another installment in the Winnie the Pooh franchise. And this one I believe I still have it on the old VHS, but I can't find it. But I know I still have it on VHS somewhere if I can find it though. But this Winnie the Pooh film is Pooh's Great Adventure: The Search for Christopher Robin. Um, this is the special edition. Um, not for feature, but for features, it says it has a game, a DVD game, and it contains the short from the main one of the shorts from the main adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. So it contains that episode. Um, and this is I think I believe this was the first direct. I believe this was the first direct to video. I believe. I believe I believe this was the first direct to video Winnie the Pooh film. I think. I could be wrong though. But I can adjust my seat here. Um, but it went to direct to video, and this says it's also the first Winnie the Pooh film to get its own special edition. Fair enough, you know. Um, and so it wasn't released in theaters, but it was released direct to video. And as before I get to the story, we'll just get to what was the reception of what I got from critics. It got this film, surprisingly though, this is like this one got mixed to negative reviews, sadly. And from what I'm reading here, has a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I believe that and then it says this is the only Winnie the Pooh film to reach that low. To have this low rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And the reason why I got mostly negative reviews is because and I also look at give a quick on what it has on IMDb. Let me just give it a second here. I know it shows it already knows it has a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. Well, I'll get to it in this. I'll keep on going. So the reason why it got mostly negative review because it said the film has a lot of dark stuff in it. Like a lot of dark, scary scenes. Like how sometimes in this where when they're traveling, how the scenery is, and dark images when they're going through like there's this vine, like the, how should I say, in this, it has all, you know, those you know, like how those Venus flytraps are, that has teeth on it. You know, it has a couple of images of that, or the look of the location they're going to, like called Skull. You know, how it looks, and from the inside, you know, there's a lot of stuff. A lot of the characters like falling into holes or getting run into stuff, you know, but it just said it's because it got because that's what got negative reviews because it caused all the dark stuff in this film, which I don't know. Yeah, it has some dark images though, but that's the reason why it got negative reviews because of that. But yeah, due to its dark themes in imagery, you know. Subject matters, and that was it was deemed too frightening for young viewers. I saw this. When was this released? It was released in 1990. It was released there direct to video in 1997, and I saw this, and I was never scared by it. Maybe I don't know. I don't know any young people, any of the young kids that were scared by this film. I haven't met a single person. All I know is me and my brother saw this, watched this a lot, and we both were never scared. We're never scared by this. You know? And there's a reviewer named Ellen Rosen criticized the film's plot being meaningless. And he also said that 80% of its scenes are scary. I don't know what this person's talking about. I watched this and I always liked Winnie the Pooh, no matter how scary it looked, you know. I was never scared by the images, you know. I was never scared by it. I always looked at it as a fun Winnie the Pooh adventure. Maybe it was the first time they wanted to do a darker version of it. I don't know, but I was never scared. But I don't understand. I don't get why it was such a big fit, you know. I'm sure younger kids these days will watch this. I don't think they will be scared by it anymore. I don't get it though. But despite all that, at least Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert, they gave this a thumbs up, you know. At least there's some good of it, you know. They both gave it a thumbs up. And this other person, Jane Louise Borsall of Caboose, also gave it a positive review, praising the film's songwriting and animation. Yes, the animation looks still good, you know, and the singing as well. And also, probably also one of the scary images is when owls showing how their adventures are gonna be, you know, some of the scary images, you know. Yeah. Well, at least they still like the animation because it still looks pretty good, you know. And also, this is also marks one of the last Winnie the Pooh films that Paul Winchell did when he voiced Tigger. Paul Winchell from the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Paul Winchell has always been the voice of Tigger, and I always loved him as Tigger, you know. He's always the best. He's always considered him the best voice for Tigger, you know. May he rest in peace, you know. And this is even though this was the last film he did when he voiced Tigger though, but it wasn't the last time he voiced him in the shows, you know. But it said it was his last time when he voiced Tigger was in Winnie the Pooh, A Valentine for You, A Valentine for You, you know. And then after that it was after Paul Winchell passed, you know, Jim Cummings, who voiced Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, he voiced Tigger from then on, you know. And I always say Jim Cummings, he also did a really good job of voicing Tigger. It almost does an exact duplicate voice of what Paul Winchell did, you know. So yeah, yeah, like I said, I believe the horror elements were too scary for young children, which I think is a little bull. Or especially how Pooh's stomach is growling, you know, it sounds like a scary voice, you know, because the sound of the Skullsaurus that they're fearing. Oh, well, I'm like, okay, whatever, just whatever. So yeah, so there's that. That's why this film got the look. Of all Winnie the Pooh things, it has a low rating on I checked to see what it has on IMDb at 30% Rotten Tomatoes. So I'm already 10 minutes in and I'm talking about the story. So yeah, I'll get into the story before I take up more time. It starts with story begins with the usual the narrator telling about the story, and this time the narrator the voice of the narrator is by David Warner. David Warner, you maybe somebody knows him from Titanic, and he has In the Mouth of Madness, and appeared in a couple of the Star Trek films with William Shatner, and he's also the bad guy in Tron, the original film Tron, he's the narrator in this film, and usually going narrating as usual. So the film starts on. Pardon me, you see some. Throat's starting to get dry already. It sort of begins in the last. It's the last day of summer, and Chris Robin he's telling Pooh they're hanging out. He has some bad news, but he tells him a few words of advice, How do they go? I can't remember. Let me see what it has right here. That's why I have this, because in case I forget stuff. Because I can't remember. Well, it's important advice he tells. He tells Piglet, Tigger, and Pooh and Rabbit. That's what he does. Well, that's what he gives the advice to those three. And Chris Roman tells him this. Let me see. It says you're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Those are the few words of advice that Chris Robin tells him before he falls asleep and waking up the next morning in his bed, So, and then he wakes up, and it's like the first day of autumn, and he discovers a honey pot with a note though, but he doesn't see the note until because he dips his hand in the honey, and the honey drips on the note, and it's like pretty much like almost make the writing on the note hard to see, So since he can't read it, because he can't read, so since he can't read, so he goes tries to find Chris Robin, but he can't, so he goes to see his best friend Piglet, who's all the way up in the tree, of his house tree, and he says like he's doing what Chris Robin told him to, face his fear, and since he's looking down, he freezes up, and Tigger comes in. He bounces up, try to get him down, and it's knocking all the acorns out of his tree, and he catches them, but then all the acorns are falling off, and they're all rolling on the towards rabbits, rolling on acorns like an acorn avalanche, Rabbit gets piled in, and then they go towards Igor. Rabbit can't make out what it says on the note, so they go to Owl because he's the wisest, so he can read, It's said that, of course, the typical thing. The typical thing. They always misinterpret what the note says, think it's something that's different, He reads out that Chris Robin has been taken by this creature called the Skullosaurus, and he's taken to his cave called Skull. And that's when he gives that singing where there's some dark images in it, or scary images, that while Owl's singing, makes out a map to show them the way. So now they're on their way, and then they they go through they go looks like they go through 4 woods. It said small woods and big woods and bigger, even more bigger woods, you know. And then they go to that thing where I said where all the Venus flytraps. It's a cave. It's sort of like a cave of thorns, you know. Yeah, it's full of thorns and those flytrap, you know, plants, you know. Some more scary images. That's not scary. Um, the Piglet gets frightened. He goes through into a flower field, which is a nice peaceful flower field, and he sees a bunch of butterflies. They pick him up, you know, and he's so high up he covers his eyes, and Pooh's trying to tell him one of those important words of advice, but he can't remember, you know. And he clings onto to Piglet, and it's too heavy for the butterflies, and they fall down. So then they go they go up a hill. They go up a hill, then to what it says here, a foggy area. And Rabbit's doing a singing, but he stopped paying attention. The map gets torn in half, and Tigger goes after the other half onto this log that's holding across, you know, what's called a ravine, you know, or yeah, I think it was called a ravine, you know. He's trying to catch it. The tree trunk snaps in half, and he holds onto one half, you know, and he's scared, you know. Pooh tries to tell him that other smart advice though, but he can't remember either. So they make it like a chain to lure Pooh down to grab Tigger. And Eeyore, you know, he's holding on by his mouth, and he's like, and Tigger's like, "What's Donkey Boy saying?" And of course, you know, he let Eeyore let's go to say, "I said, ouch," and they all fall. And once again, Peter Cullen, who voices Eeyore, is still the voice. He's always been the voice of Eeyore, you know. Of course, people probably know him better. He plays the voice of Optimus Prime in the Transformer films, you know. I'm sure people don't know that, but for me telling, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, the voice of Optimus Prime. Oh yeah, that's the person who voiced Eeyore in all these Winnie the Pooh TV shows and movies, you know. Well, except for the 2011 film, he didn't voice Eeyore in that film, except for that film. So not in that film. So then they all uh and also Rabbit's all lost his sense of direction, you know, and so they started to they finally they find some shelter, you know, to like take a nap or sleep for a little bit until Piglet wakes the others up and say that they arrived at the place of Skull. And there's another scary image, you know, when the camera zooms to shows the cave of Skull looks like a face, you know, like this. That's what it looks like. Which I'm saying, how is that scary? I was never, when I first saw it, I was never scared by it. Well, back then I didn't know what this film got negative reviews for being scary, which I was too young to know that. Which I look at it now, I was like, well, I'm looking at how is this scary? How is it too? How is it? I can see why, but I don't want to give this film a negative reception just for being dark and scary. That we consider it's too scary for young kids. I should say it's also a little bull. So so they go inside, and there's a lot of passages, so they all decide to split up. Eeyore, he's walking this skinny ledge, and he falls down. Everyone else panics, you know. Rabbit falls down a hole, he's thrown into this tumbling little tunnel. Tigger gets chased by bats. While Pooh is still separate from the others, they all combine, and they see like a bunch of crystallized diamonds, you know, and they all know that's Pooh because his reflection goes like a big reflection, thinking in a scary looking image, you know. thinking that's a Skullosaurus. They all run, and Pooh, he slips and falls, and he slides down into this. He gets stuck into one of the crystals, and while the others get stuck on this ledge, and they can't figure out what to do, and they see the eye of Skull, how to get up there, and Rabbit gets the idea to get Tigger to bounce, onto get this vine that's up there so they can climb up. In which they do, and Pooh he loosens himself up, but he falls down into this, I guess, this pit, which is there's no way out for him, and or I think it was not pit. I think it was called a crevice. I think that's what it's called. And there's no way out, and he decides to give up on himself, while the rest of them they go up in the Eye of Skull and they see a shadow of footsteps, thinking that's the Skullosaurus, but it's Christopher Robin. And Chris Robin tells them, Chris Robin explains that he was at school, not Skull, he was at school. Because thanks to Al for misinterpreting, and like what Rabbit says, he's like that owl. I know Skull. I knew Skull had another Y in it, which there is no Y in Skull. So, and also what I mentioned, and throughout the entire film and during their journey, they keep hearing this here growling roar, which they thought it was a Skullosaurus, but the whole time it's been Pooh's stomach, because he's been hungry the whole time, he hasn't eaten honey for quite a while now. So yeah, they were scared. The whole time they were scared of Pooh's Pooh's growling stomach, because he hasn't eaten. So Pooh is stuck in that crevice or pit whatever, and he sees there's a whole big pot of honey, which they hoist him up, and then he's happy to see Chris Robin, and the second, it's daytime, and they discover the scary outside of Skull was it was not that scary after all. Which I'm like, yeah, it was never that scary after all, even when they first saw it. So they all sing along, marching their way back home, with which I know I like that song. It's like, nothing can go wrong, and everything is right, somehow, So, and then the Pooh, is just telling Chris Robin that he's always gonna be waiting for him when he's at school, he's always gonna be waiting for him, And the two sit down where their usual spot where they sit by this tree, as the sun goes down. And then there's when David Warner is the narrator telling them, they'll always have each other here in the 100-acre wood, And I always then the credits, just the credits roll, which pardon me, that song I think was called wherever you are, and as the credits roll, it says, all the credits, and it says, and Paul Winchell as Tigger, because that's like the last film he did. But even after, he still continued to be the voice of Tigger, but I'm saying this is the last film that he voiced Tigger in, That's why it said, and Paul Winchell as Tigger, So yes, I've always enjoyed Pooh's Great Adventure: The Search for Christopher Robin, and I also mentioned in my review for the 2011 film, they use kind of the same segment for Searching for Christopher Robin, in that film, I think he's been taken by the Baxen. It's like they use the same element in this film where they search for Chris Robin in that film, Just want to point that out. So yeah, I always enjoy this film. I know I absolutely do know I have it on VHS somewhere if I can find it though, but so much in the clutter, of a bunch of old VHS tapes I have, So yeah, I don't get why this film got so negative. Or it got so negative because it's dark, scary images, you know. Which I have no idea why. I think it's a little bull, you know. I never found it scary for 1 minute though. And I don't understand why this film has a 30% Rotten Tomatoes, and this is the only Winnie the Pooh film that has a 38% low rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And I just found out what I just found out what it has on IMDb. Even has a low rating of 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. This has a 6.9 on IMDb, which is that is really pretty high for a dark, scary Winnie the Pooh film. It deserves to have a high rating on IMDb to compare what it has on Rotten Tomatoes, which I have no idea why it doesn't deserve that. So yeah. So yeah, once again, all the cast, the original cast, you know, does a great job. David Warner, he does a good job as the narrator, you know. At least Gene Siskel, Roger Ebert, and that woman, forgot what her name was already, who gave this on the praise. And I also agree with these. You know, The Hollywood Reporter are grand indeed and wonderfully charming. Agree on that. Paul Chambers, CNN Radio, A Heartwarming Tale, perfect for families. I do agree with that. You know, at least this one got more praise than what it originally got. You know, so yeah. So I would say, even when it says it's too dark and scary, which I understand, but here's what I say: it's not scary. You know, I would bet little kids will watch it and they'll not get scared of it. I was never scared when I first saw this as a kid, and I was never scared then, and I'm never scared now. So yeah, this is not. Yeah, even though the look of the film, yeah, I get it though, just the look in general though, but just for a person's opinion, I would say it's not that dark and scary, if you get what I'm saying, you know. So yeah. So this is my review of Pooh's Great Adventure, The Search for Christopher Robin. And thanks for watching. Take care, and I wish you all a very happy Easter. And stay tuned for the next movie review. Later.